Hi there, and thanks for watching Canceling COVID. Hopefully, you're enjoying this hot Wednesday. Yeah, we got a hot day on tap weather-wise. You're taking the time to join me. I certainly appreciate it. I'm Tonya Rivens, and this is the place for real people to have real talk and find real solutions. We are working together. It takes us all to work together to protect ourselves, our families, our way of life during a global pandemic. I'm so glad that you joined us. I'm grateful for our sponsors, of course, Mecklenburg County Public Health, mecnc.gov, mecnc.gov for additional information, and also Groundwater Solutions. Dr. Tracia Black will join us in just a moment. But let's get to the top headlines for today. First, COVID has now killed at least 600,000 people. And I just want to pause right there. 600,000 people. Those are a lot of lives that have been lost. And chances are you have been affected by it as well, have lost a loved one or know someone who's lost a loved one. And this is not something that we should dismiss lightly. 600,000 people only here in the United States. Now, although the COVID death rate has dropped shortly, and it dropped dramatically after vaccines became widely available, 100,000 people have died in just 4 months. And we don't hear a whole lot of conversation about the deaths that continue. Also making news in North Carolina, there's a push to end the evictions moratorium. And I was listening to a story right before getting on a broadcast talking about it's a tough call, for the tenant and the landlord. A lot of times these are not people that are major corporations, and maybe it's something that they rely on, and I'm talking about the tenant, but then the landlord is not, they're not a major corporation, and it may be some money that they're depending on. And by the same token, the tenant, if they don't have it because of what we've been going through, what are they expected to do? So the North Carolina Realtors Association is asking Governor Cooper to end the ban 2 weeks before it's scheduled to expire on June 30th. Now, they claim the economy has improved, but landlords are struggling since so many renters, tenants, are not paying rent. And that's the battle. If they don't have it, then where do they get it from? In the meantime, the landlords, they need it to pay the mortgage or whatever they're using it for. So we'll watch how the story plays out, and we'll keep you updated. But it's great to bring in our first guest, who is here to share some important information. Her name is Laura Hogshead, and the Housing Opportunities and Prevention of Evictions program, better known as HOPE, is helping families in 88 counties across the state, and then it helps them to pay rent and utilities. So I'd like to welcome you. Thank you, Ms. Hogshead, who's the Chief Operating Officer with the North Carolina Office of Recovery and Resiliency. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, because I know this is really kind of, it's a challenge, but I appreciate what you are doing to help those that are there, and especially to help try to get the information out. So good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. This helps to get the word out, so we're very happy to do it.
Well, absolutely. So how has COVID impacted the request for help that you are getting?
So our program exists because of COVID. So what didn't exist except for COVID. And so you have to have proven a COVID impact in order to be eligible, and the federal government gave us this money in order to keep people safe at home and safe from COVID.
And so many people, well, we know, I mean, you lived through it, I lived through it. So many people lost their jobs and lost their livelihood, and obviously, just devastated and not knowing what to do. But what are some of the counties or areas where you're seeing the biggest demand for this type of assistance?
Well, it's complicated because the largest counties in North Carolina received a direct allocation from the federal government. So they're running their own programs. So Mecklenburg County, Wake County, Union County, Guilford County, they're running their own programs. And so the HOPE program is not serving those major metropolitan areas. And that's where you see the majority of renters. And so we are serving the 88 counties that are more suburban and rural. And the renters that are spread out over those areas are harder to reach. They are just as in need, so we are doing everything we can to get the word to them so that they know how to apply. We know we're having a strong interest from Pitt County. There are several counties where we can see that the word is getting out, but we can also see where we need to do more outreach. So far west counties, we need more applicants, and we are pushing our outreach strategies to make sure that we reach people where they are.
So let's just for a moment, and for people that, because everyone, even if they're from North Carolina, may not be familiar. Did you say Hitt County or Holt County?
Pitt,
Pitt. Oh,
Pitt.
okay, Pitt County. So that's going to be up around the Carrboro area.
So that's
Where
around
is that?
Greenville, North Carolina, around ECU. We're seeing they have a strong rental market, and so we're seeing a lot of applicants there.
And when you say the western part, would that be Burke County or farther out from there?
Farther out. So the farthest reaches of Western North Carolina are having a slower start, but we are working with nonprofits in the area to get the word out.
Okay, that's good to know. And then we did mention the 88 counties. Again, anyone that's hopping on, it's good to pass this information out because there's nothing worse than being homeless. And we've had, guests on to talk about that as well. And it's probably really bad if there's money out there and you're not aware of it and you're able to keep your home just because there's a program and no one's able to get the information to you. So Hope doesn't cover Charlotte, like you just said, but there is a local rental assistance program, him called Ramp Charlotte. Now, how else does someone qualify for the Hope program? Uh, is it just showing the factor of being outside of these counties, or can you kind of speak on that a bit?
Sure. So in order to be eligible for HOPE, you need to be a renter. You need to be a low-income renter. So that's defined as less than 80% of the area median income for your county. And you need to show that you've had a financial impact from COVID. And from there, we walk you through the eligibility and walk you through the application. So we've tried to make it as simple as possible for people to get the assistance that they need.
If you had to put a percentage on so far, how much has been used of those funds? Are you able to state that amount?
Well, we have a lot of money to spend. So the federal government has given the state of North Carolina about $800 million for this effort. And at this point, we have committed about $30 million. So we have a long ways to go, and we have a lot more availability.
Wow. Is the process hard? I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself because I'm thinking 30 out of 800. Is it really difficult to qualify, or truly the challenge is getting the word out?
The challenge is getting the word out. So once you fill out the application, as long as you submit everything that you need to submit, we can get you a check within a couple of weeks. So the process itself is not long. It's just getting the word out. So we're grateful to you and to others who are helping us do that.
Absolutely. So we mentioned the eviction moratorium and the financial strain that is placing on landlords. Can landlords apply for any type of help or apply to Hope on behalf of tenants? Or are the guidelines, advice for them different? Or is there another program that you're aware of?
So the landlords cannot apply directly. The liability is on the tenant to make sure that they are telling us the truth about whether or not they've had a COVID impact. But landlords can talk to their tenants about applying. And then when the tenant is given an award, the landlord does have to fill out an application, they have to fill out an agreement that they are going to take the rent check, that they are going to protect the tenant. So they do have a role in this. And so we do need for them to be very quick about returning that agreement as well so that we can be quick about the check.
Okay, now that just causes me to pause right there. Because if the Realtor Association or Realtors Association is asking the governor to go ahead and, remove the moratorium, if there's so much of a problem, then I would think, and yours truly, I'm a landlord. We have a small business, and I think for small businesses is probably something different. But if they truly are hurting for money, then seems like they would try to work with the owners and the landlords to get with you guys for people who are not paying and have them put in for the funds. It just, I don't understand why you would try to just do a whole blanket moratorium when the funds are there. They should be working with you all.
So what we want is for as many people as possible to come into the program. Regardless of what happens with the moratorium, we want to get the money out into the community for both the landlords and the tenants.
Very good. So walk us through the application process. Well, you actually just did. You said you just fill out the form, but is it very detailed or lengthy, or is just kind of straight and to the point?
It is straight to the point. We've tried to make it as streamlined as possible. And if you're having trouble with the online application, you can always call our call center and they can walk you through it. So if you don't want to do it online, someone can do it with you on the phone. As long as you tell us everything that you have to tell us and upload the documents that we need, it is not a lengthy process.
So are you guys giving out, and we've got the website now and the phone number you mentioned, call is 1-888-927-5467, 888-927-5467, hope.nc.gov. Are you, in addition to granting this interview, which I'm so grateful for, are you doing any radio, any marketing, any type of flyers, campaigns out there?
We are. We are working with churches, with schools, with DSS offices, with public health offices. So we are making sure that whatever entry point a person has, someone in that office is aware of the HOPE program and can help connect them to this program.
Well, I would surely like to get one of the flyers because I'll be glad to share it because I think it's really terrible, just awful to lose your place, your place of living because you don't realize there's funds out there that are available, and there are some people that legitimately really need the help and just getting the word to them. So, are there any deadlines? Like, do we have to use all this money before a certain date and then it goes back to the government?
We do have to use 65% of the first tranche of money. So of the first $400 million, we have to spend 65% by the end of September. And we're on track to do that, but we continually need to get the word out so that more folks will apply and we can get them the assistance that they need.
Well, that's good to know. At least it's not a deadline of July, especially with the
Right.
moratorium coming to an end. So I appreciate that. And again, for anyone hopping on, I see you guys hopping on, hearing a little bit of feedback. But for anybody hopping on, they say there's some feedback happening. We talked about this earlier when it comes to online technology. What can you say? What can you do? I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. And hopefully we can continue to help push the word out and get information to people because the moratorium is up on June 30th. And here's an opportunity to apply at least through, I believe you said September. So that's great stuff. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Again, Laura Hogshead taking the time to share some important information with us about the HOPE program. And it's an effort to provide some funding for you. So, guys, look, around Mecklenburg County, which is one of the counties that isn't in need, but we've got Cabarrus, we've got Lincoln, we've got Iredell. We've got counties, right around us in North Carolina that should be putting in for this funding. So if you know someone in North Carolina or in some of these areas, call them up and tell them, hey, Tonya is talking with someone. If you need some additional help on paying your rent, then there's a fund that's set up. 800 million, that's a lot of money. So 30 million used, that's it. So look, please help spread the word on that. Now, we're going to shift gears a little bit. There's now new pressure on workers to get the COVID-19 vaccine. I told you it was coming. Or else look for work somewhere else. Saturday's federal ruling in Texas is setting national precedents, and it gives private employers the right to require employees to get the COVID-19 vaccine. So you either get out the door and start your own business, or you're going to have to get with the program. So, just as employers have already been permitted to order employees to get flu shots and other vaccines, now looks like private employers can require this of you. And, on the one hand, they're protecting their brand, protecting their business. Nobody can afford to shut down for 2 months again. So, someone who is always great on talking about these type of subjects and more, and we talk like real talk, for real, Dr. Trisha Black of Groundwater Solutions. She's going to join us to talk about this. Of course, a sponsor of the show and always engaged, and I love to have the conversation on Wednesday. So, Dr. Black, there you have it. We kind of saw and we talked about it. You've always been kind of dropping these nuggets in the forefront. So, when you hear what I just said, what comes to mind when you hear about this ruling?
I think I'm surprised that we're there. Um, so soon. I didn't know that the ruling, I didn't expect the ruling as quickly as it would come, but I'm not shocked that it's come. I believe that there's so much fear, there's so much concern, and COVID is such a urgent healthcare issue that something has to happen. So I'm concerned about how employers are going to respond to that. And I'm concerned about the workers. That there continues to be protests around the country from workers, particularly healthcare workers, regarding vaccine mandates. And I think those protests are going to increase. Even with the ruling, I think there's going to continue to be many protests and folks refusing to be vaccinated, which is just where we are in our country right now.
Well, I appreciate that, and we're getting some comments about feedback, and I know in your situation you're traveling, so we'll try to get to it. No problem. On your end. And I saw a question. I wish I had it before. I didn't see it. Where I could have asked Miss Hogshead if people can apply more than once for those funds? That's a great question, and I didn't think to ask her about that. But
Right?
even
Because I
now,
think people, when they're in financial trouble, 1 month of assistance really doesn't, it helps, but it doesn't solve the problem.
it sure
So
doesn't.
I think we probably get to that 800 million if folks can apply for multiple months of financial support.
And I'm not sure she understood what I was saying too. If the Realtors Association are saying that landlords they need their money, then why don't they work with them? I don't understand.
That's a crazy
Yeah,
answer to that, because they're in as much financial distress as the tenant at this
right.
point, and they need some relief as well. And they have gone for more than 1 year for some landlords that I know of without being paid rent, and they're still responsible for payments, mortgages, leases.
Right,
So I
right.
do think we need to maybe lobby to get that change so that the landlords have access to that funding as well.
Well, and she did say they're working with everyone, but I would just go to the Realtors Association and say, well, why are y'all asking for this? Go over here to Hope and work with them, give them or get with your tenant, and hey, put in for this money, and we can all kind of move along. But anyway, I kind of digressed a little bit. We were
Yes,
talking about this whole deal because your question, it was a great question. I wish I would have asked you that. But even now, there are remote workers' apprehension about returning to the office. Can you talk about some of the COVID-related workplace protests that you're hearing about?
well, and I think the most significant protests that I'm hearing about, which might surprise people, are from healthcare workers, hospital workers who are upset about mandates to return to work, or having to be vaccinated to keep their jobs. And I think because for healthcare, if you're in the healthcare field, our mandate is that we do no harm. And we don't make people are responsible for their own healthcare decisions, and we don't believe that healthcare should be mandated. We know that we should do a lot of education, but requiring people to be treated or be vaccinated or any other healthcare process, that is a problem for many healthcare workers. So I'm not surprised that the healthcare workers are leading in protest. Even though we want people to be healthy, we also want people to have choices. So I think a lot of the really highlighted protests are from healthcare workers around the country.
So, what's the middle ground, though, for employees that are concerned about their health and employers who need to keep their business doors open?
I think conversations. I think conversations about with your employees. What we do frequently in my organization is we have those open dialogue conversations about what the concern is. We have many conversations about COVID-19 and how we're going to keep our workplace safe. We have protocols in place for COVID-19 safety, which includes sanitation, which includes regular testing. And so even though you might be pushing the vaccine, and you and I talk about this every week, there still needs to be protocols in businesses regarding testing, even for those workers who are vaccinated, because they can still spread and contract the virus. So I think just open conversations with employees about what we're going to do in our workplace to be safe, for those who are vaccinated and those who are unvaccinated. And hear feedback from your employees. Don't be afraid to open that door. And I'm pretty transparent with my staff, and I think employers need to be more transparent with their staff.
So I'm getting a lot of comments saying that you sound like you're talking in a pool of water, and I know you're working and you're driving. So they asked that I repeat what you're saying. And one of the responses that you said was that the middle ground is education and conversation. And so that's one of the things that truly helps in any circumstance or situation. So it seems like it's getting a little louder. Dr. Black, I'm probably going to go ahead and
Do you want
wrap
me to
things
try
up.
to log out and log back in?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm looking for guidance from Amelia. She's saying she can barely make you out. I can hear you just fine, but apparently some of the people that have hopped on are having a difficult time. Amelia, you can weigh in on this. I appreciate the expertise that you bring. And of course, again, one of the things someone's asking about when we talked about if you were surprised about the ruling. You said you're surprised that we've gotten to this point so quickly. And I love that response because we've been talking about it. It's coming, it's coming. Well, guess what? It's here, which is going to be an issue for a lot of people. So,
And
what do
people
you
don't like to be made to do things. I think it's just our human nature. We don't want to be forced to do things. So just the ruling is going to be, there's going to be protests just because of the ruling, even probably from people who've been vaccinated,
Yeah.
because they don't want to be forced. They don't, that whole, that goes everything against our human nature.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, and you're more than likely right about that. So, what are some of the safety protocols though that should be in place or should be followed when people return to work?
Again, regular sanitation and that's beyond cleaning. That's really having a service that will come in and provide COVID sanitation. Depending on the number of employees that are going to be in the workspace, depends on how frequently the space should be sanitized. But most companies, if we're going to have active workers, need at least once a week sanitation. If you have a lot of workers, I'd say 30 plus employees, you need multiple times a week sanitation. The other thing is there needs to be serial testing in the workplace so that you know when individuals in the workplace are positive. Right now, again, people are walking around and they may be COVID positive and they're not aware of that and they're infecting other people. So there needs to be serial testing. And then when COVID, the virus is discovered, someone in the workplace has COVID-19, then, in fact, we had that at our office last week. We shut the office down. We closed the office. We immediately had a sanitation come in, and we asked everyone who had been in the office during that particular time frame during the week to be tested, so that we know exactly how far the infection has spread. So those same types of protocols need to be in all workplaces as people return to work.
That's a good information to have. Now, real quick, what can an employee do, however, if their employer doesn't follow these rules? Do they have any type of fallback? And please, I know they can file, but I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. So here's what I think. I think employees need to be able to have a voice in the workplace, and that goes back to what we just talked about the transparency with the employer. So I believe that employees need to first, before they start filing EEOC complaints or reporting to the health department, which are certain avenues that employees can take, they should go to their employer first. Human resources, the owner or director of their program, and express their concerns. Hopefully, they work in a workplace that will embrace concerns of employees and be responsive. I know that all employers are not like that. And then if you tried that, you talk to your employer and they are not upping their safety and measures for COVID-19, then report to your local health department. At the height of the pandemic, maybe in June or July, there were some factories around North Carolina where workers were being made to, come to work where they were being fired. There was no social distancing. There were very little protocols for COVID safety. The health department and North Carolina Department and Health and Human Services responded. They went into those factories and they required the organizations to implement the COVID safety measures. So that will still happen. You can contact your health department, contact the Department of Health and Human Services, and they will intervene on your behalf and the behalf of the other employees.
All right, great information, Dr. Black. Where are you today out testing?
We are in Gastonia, North Carolina. I actually I wasn't able to get my computer to come up, so I don't have all of the addresses. But we're always at our office at 5104 Reagan Drive, Suite 5. You can call 704-596-0505 to find out where we are or to schedule to come into our office.
All right, Dr. Tricia Black of Groundwater Solutions, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us, as always, and providing great information, groundwater-solutions.org. You be safe out there, and thank you again for joining us. Okay. All right, great information, guys, and I see some people got frustrated. I mean, we were trying to make the adjustment. We did not try to stop the show, but hopefully you were able to get some information that is helpful to you, especially with the HOPE program. And again, I challenge you to share the information. There's a whole lot of money that the state has that has been received from federal government. And if you know someone that is in danger of being evicted because the moratorium is coming to an end, here's some money that is available up through September. Now, the question is, again, and I'll submit as well to her, can they apply more than once? Because I would think legitimately, to Dr. Black's point, 1 month will help, but that's not going to solve the problem, especially with the crisis that we've been in. So it's time for me to wrap things up. Of course, I'll be back with you on Friday. And I appreciate the conversation. I always appreciate Dr. Tracia Black, Groundwater Solutions. And thank you to Ms. Hogshead for coming on and having this conversation, because they are trying to get the word out. I also would like to say thank you to Mecklenburg County Public Health, metcountync.gov, metcountync.gov. They are available offering services to answer any questions that you may have, whether it's just trying to get informed. I had a conversation with someone this week, and she was like, I'm truly torn because I know a family that everybody had the vaccine and they had an event and everybody got COVID. And I shared with her, I said, it's been well known or documented. COVID, the vaccine doesn't necessarily stop you from getting COVID like the flu, but it does stop you from dying from it. And it helps with if you come down with COVID. So she wasn't even aware of that. So sometimes there are just things that we think people are automatically informed about that may know, and truly they don't know. So Mecklenburg County Public Health, they are available for you to answer any questions that you may have, because obviously now wanting people to get vaccinated and wanting them to know the information and get it from a reliable source, not off the internet. And I've heard all the jokes about the mark of the beast and the chip and the 666. Miss me with all that nonsense. Just go to a reliable source to get the information. And I'm sure whatever you have to ask, they're more than willing to try and answer or get you an answer. So until Friday, another hot day in the city. So make sure you stay hydrated if you're going to be out and about. As always, life's challenges make you better, not bitter. I'm Tonya Rivens. Thanks for hopping on and joining us. And together, we plan to cancel COVID. Have a great